as the director of the Counterterrorism Center, he wrote that he cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. He writes, Iran posed no imminent threat to our nature. It's clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. How do you respond to that and to those other Republicans who say that this war is actually putting foreign interests above domestic interests?
Well, that proposition at the end is clearly wrong. I'm on the Gang of Eight. I got all the briefings. We all understood there was clearly an imminent threat, that Iran was very close to the enrichment of nuclear capability, and they were building missiles at a pace that no one in the region could keep up with. They were far outpacing our allies and friends and us in our defense capability, because we had personnel, installations, members of the armed services and civilians in the region. Iran was building up ballistic missiles at such a rapid pace, and we knew that their plan was to fire them upon Americans. The commander-in-chief and his administration had a very difficult decision to make. I don't know where Joe Kent is getting his information, but he wasn't in those briefings, clearly, because the Secretary of State, the Secretary of War, and everyone, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Kane, they had exquisite intelligence, and we understood that this was a serious moment for us. Had the president waited, I am personally convinced that we would have mass casualties of Americans, service members and others, and our installations would have been dramatically damaged. And so we had to, the president felt that he had to strike first to prevent those mass casualties. That's a summary. I can't tell you the classified part, but that's a summary that's made public, and it's accurate. Yeah, Manu.
In a significant shift within the administration's national security apparatus, former Congressman Joe Kent has resigned from his position as director of the Counterterrorism Center, citing a moral inability to support the escalating conflict in Iran. In a public statement regarding his resignation, Kent alleged that Iran posed no imminent threat to the United States and suggested that the impetus for military action was the result of external pressures from foreign interests and domestic lobbying groups rather than a genuine necessity for national defense. Responding to these allegations and growing skepticism from within the Republican Party, members of the Gang of Eight and administration officials have moved to firmly discredit the notion that the war is being fought for foreign interests. Lawmakers with access to the highest levels of classified intelligence maintain that the proposition of misplaced priorities is fundamentally inaccurate. They point to a specific and rapidly closing window of opportunity to prevent a catastrophe, asserting that Iran had reached a critical stage in nuclear enrichment and was mass-producing ballistic missiles at a pace that threatened to overwhelm regional defense capabilities. The administration's defense centers on the existence of exquisite intelligence provided by the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Secretary of State. Officials argue that this data confirmed an active plan by the Iranian regime to target American personnel installations, service members, and civilians throughout the region. The decision to initiate a first strike is being framed not as an act of aggression, but as a preventative measure essential to avoiding mass American casualties. While critics like Kent suggest the threat was manufactured, legislative leaders insist that the briefings, which included detailed timelines on missile development and enrichment milestones, left the commander-in-chief with a binary choice: strike first or wait for an inevitable and devastating attack on U.S. assets. This public summary of classified findings is being presented as the definitive counter-narrative to claims of foreign adventurism, as the administration attempts to solidify domestic support for the ongoing military operation.